Okay, my informative speech is about the history of the Chevrolet brand. I want to inform the audience of the history of the Chevrolet brand and how it grew up to be so well known today. The idea is to look at the timeline of Chevrolet, show how it grew, and show how it became so popular to many of us today. When you think about the importance of transportation, what do you think about? Do you think about the history or how trustworthy a company is? As people move through life, they don't understand the actual meaning of cars. Like Chevrolet, some people could get an opportunity of a lifetime by progressing a company to go on for 100 more years, like Chevy. It is important to learn the history of Chevy so people can learn and understand how they're going to hit the top. For my family, we've always been a Chevy family. I never really understood why my family was more of a Chevrolet kind of people. And then once you get behind like a wheel of a Chevy, I think you really bond with the car, and like with all the gadgets and features on the car, that it is a well-driven car and very fun. So my credibility goes to my family for always owning a Chevy. And so I just always grew up with it, and I knew how it worked. But most importantly, after I read about the history of Chevy, I was really safe and secure with Chevy, and I was glad that I was one of those people that were familiar with Chevy. Today we're going to briefly look at the significance of Chevy, how the founders got to the top with going over 100 years of Chevy, having it as a company, and why it is such a trusted brand for everyone. Louis Chevrolet, race car driver, and William C. Durant co-founded the Chevrolet Motor Company in Detroit on November 3, 2011. Swiss-born Louis Chevrolet, 1878 to 1941, was a race car driver, a mechanic, and a pioneer engineer. William C. Durant, 1861 to 1947, was a visionary automotive marketeer. Durant founded General Motors in 1908. Durant hired Chevrolet for high-profile races and promotional drives. In 1910, Durant was forced from the company he found, but won't be deterred from bargaining auto industry. He grouped with other partners in Chevrolet to develop the new cars that have become history. On the left here is William C. Durant. He is, the co-founder. And then Louis Chevrolet is in the middle. And then one of their first cars, which was the Series C, is right here. And then on the right is the different logos that Chevy had throughout the years, as you can see. Okay, so Durant believed Louis Chevy's reputation as a race car driver would help sell the car, so he named it after Louis Chevrolet. Chevy built first car Series C Classic 6, which is right here in the middle. Its top speed, according to media.gm.com, an article called Chevy Runs Deep for 100 Years, can top at the 65 miles per hour with a 4.9-liter six-cylinder engine. Now that we have looked at the beginning of how Chevrolet came to life, let's look at what they offer. From the very start, Chevrolet brought technologies and features for more expensive cars and obviously more affordable, of course. They had safety glass joint and stability controls. According to Motorhead.com, they featured air-cooled engines. 1959 to 1960, the model is the Corvair, which is shown here. Although Chevrolet had many fails, they succeeded in the end. Now that we have looked at what features the cars had for their models, we can look at how they grew. The Beach Boys recorded 409 for the Chevy brands, and for the 409 brand, of course, which is right here on the top left is the Beach Boys and what their cover was. 1967 is when the Camaro was made and made an entrance for the Ford Mustang, which also gave a little bit of competition for Ford, which is right here on the top. 2002 was the year the Camaro outsold Mustang, but also came back to life. The Chevelle was made, and the Corvette also made history in 1983, but that's going back. 9 years later, Chevrolet made their 100 millionth Chevy. The millionth Corvette was built in 1992. Right here is the Chevelle, and then right here is the Corvette. About the history of Chevrolet, their inventors and cars brought to the world were very important. Okay. And it can be important to look at different histories and for buying a new car. In conclusion, keeping your ideas open can lead to great opportunities. Louis and William wouldn't have guessed their greatest successes had come from something so little that they made. Anything can happen, and you should always read up on your history. Most of all because you don't want history to repeat itself in some events, but that doesn't always mean that it's bad. This last picture here is the 2009 Corvette ZR1, which was the greatest success of the Corvette. My sources are Global Brands, 2011, January. Cobra or Corporate Newsroom, Chevy runs deep for 500 years. 2011, October 30th, The Time Historical Timeline of Chevrolet Brand. And Lisa Todd, Motorhead Archive, The Secret History of Chevrolet.